Hello everyone, welcome back to Xcoding with Alvian. Hope you guys are doing well. In this video, we are going to update the MovieDB app that we have built last year. We were using the SwiftUI 1.0 initial release that shipped along iOS 13 SDK to build the app. You can watch the full video from the link at the description if you want to create the app from scratch. Although we can build the project using the latest Xcode 13 and iOS 15 SDK successfully, there are a lot of UI issues that arise because of the new SwiftUI API that change the default behavior of many views. For example, on iOS 14, the default list style is now inside group. This change breaks the horizontal edge-to-edge carousel that we have built. So here at the right, this is the correct one that we want to achieve. Also, on iOS 14, we can use the new LazyHStack to improve the efficiency of the carousel. So if each of the images are loaded only when the view appears on the screen. In this video, we'll be updating the app to use the new SwiftUI API that shipped with iOS 14 and iOS 15 SDKs, such as State Object Property Wrapper, Searchable, Refreshable, Task Modifiers, and many more. We'll also implement Swift 5.5 concurrent APIs such as Async function, GroupTask, and MainActor. Along the way, we'll fix existing bugs, improve efficiency and performance of the app. Finally, we'll also refactor the current codebase to make the views more composable and modular, so it is more easier to reason and understand. Before we begin, please download the starter project from the GitHub repository that I have provided at the description. Open folder SwiftUI 3-iOS 15, click the starter folder, and click on the Xcode project to open it in Xcode. Make sure you open it using the latest Xcode 13 release. Now, let's begin to code. Okay, so for the first task, let's update the deployment target for our project. So click on here, and then here, currently the deployment target is set to iOS 13.5. So let's update this to 15. And then let's make sure in the build settings tab, search for deployment target. This is selected as iOS 15. Now we should be able to use the new iOS 15 API. And this will break the compatibility with the previous iOS versions such as 13 and 14. If you want to also support the lower version, you need to provide branching. So you need to provide a fallback implementation for earlier iOS versions. But in our case, we will only support iOS 15 for this video. Okay, now let's try to build. Okay, the build succeeded. Now we can access the Swift 5.5 API and the new SwiftUI 3 APIs. Now let's start with the simplest task, which is to configure the list style in the movie list view. So on iOS 15 and iOS 14, it is using the inside group list style as the default list style. It breaks our edge-to-edge carousel. And let's go to movie list view to fix that. Here we simply need to add this list style as plain. Okay, and then let's change this navigation bar title to use this navigation title. So this is more adaptive to all of the platforms. So basically for iOS, it will be using the navigation bar, and it will be different on watchOS and macOS. So let's change this, and let's change the title as well to Exea Movies. Okay, and Let's remove the separator between each of the group, each of the row. We can do that using this release row separator with visibility. This is new. I think this is introduced back then in iOS 14, not sure, or 14 or 15. Let's add it now to remove the list row separator. Passing hidden, do it for each of the item. Okay, now let's try to build and run, see the result in simulator. Okay, now looks good. Let's try to scroll. Nice. This is edge to edge now. It's not being clipped. And between each of the section here, there is no separator. This looks good. Okay. Okay, now let's move on to improve the efficiency of our carousel view. Let's navigate to the movie poster carousel view. So this view is basically the container view that drives the carousel. Here we use a scroll view with a horizontal axis, and inside we put a HStack. And now on iOS 14, Apple introduced this new LazyHStack. So with this, when we use LazyHStack, each of the on appear modifier for each of the child in here will only got invoked when the view appears on the screen. So that will improve the efficiency of our network call, as we don't have to call all the API to fetch the image for all the children in the carousel. When we use LazyHStack, the onAppear modifier we only got invoked when the user scroll and the child view appears on the screen. So that should improve the efficiency. Now let's refactor a bit in here. For this button style, we don't need to pass this plain button style. We can simply pass dot plain. Okay, and this padding, we don't need all of this logic actually. Let's refactor it and let's put the padding horizontal here, and let's also add a padding with vertical edges with the value of 8. Okay, let's try to see the results first. Okay, looks good. Now the image are loaded lazily when it appears on the screen. Okay, nice. Now let's do a refactoring for the carousel view. So currently on the project there are two carousel views. One is this movie poster carousel view for showing this carousel, the movie image with the portrait aspect ratio, and the other one is this movie backdrop carousel view. This is for showing the carousel of image with landscape aspect ratio. So there are two codes that we need to manage. So let's do a bit of refactoring and just unify them into a single view. So we might need to introduce a new variable that we can pass to determine whether to render the portrait or landscape image of the movie. Okay, let's begin. First one is we need to go to the movie poster card. This is the actual image, right? So we need to rename this. Let's select this and so refactor here and click rename. Rename this as movie thumbnail view. We will use this both for poster and backdrop image of the movie. Click name. Okay, rename the view to movie thumbnail view. Now let's just remove this movie backdrop card. We won't be needing this. Move it to trash. And let's go to the movie backdrop carousel view first, as this will give a build time error. Let's just use movie thumbnail view first. Let's try to build. Okay, the build still succeeded. Now let's go to the movie thumbnail view. Okay, so first let's create a enum. Give it a name of movie thumbnail type, and let's create a first case for poster, and let's have a associated value show title with the type of boolean and the full value of true. So basically for the poster image we have a title as the overlay. So with this associated value we can control whether to show that title or not. Now let's have a backdrop for the second case. Let's move on to the movie thumbnail view and add this var thumbnail type with the type of movie thumbnail type. Let's give it a default value of poster. And now we need to change this observe object property wrapper with the new stat object property wrapper that was introduced back then on iOS 14. Okay, so what's the difference between the stat object and the observe object? So based on the Apple documentation, for any view that has a observable object and associated with the life cycle of that view, we should use that object. So when should we use the observe object? When we want to pass down this stat object to a children view. In that case, we can declare observe object in the children view and then pass this stat object from the parent. Okay. Now let's fix the previous. Let's close this and focus on the editor. Let's declare a group in the preview. Remove this. And let's declare movie thumbnail view. For movie, we can use the stop movie. And for the thumbnail type, let's pass poster with show title as true. Let's set the frame of this view with width of 204 and height of 306. Okay, let's copy this, paste it here. And for the second one, let's change the thumbnail type to backdrop. And for the frame, let's set it to, let's remove the width and let's set the height to 160. And before that we need to add the aspect ratio modifier. In this case the aspect ratio will be landscape, so let's just pass 16:9 with the content mode of fit. Okay, that's it for the previews. We can enable the canvas in here. Now let's move on to the body, and let's just remove this and create a placeholder text. Okay, and inside the on appear, so basically for the movie there are two different URL for backdrop URL and poster URL. So we need to use switch statement here, passing the thumbnail type in case of poster and in case of backdrop. So in case of poster we can just pass the movie.poster URL to the image loader.load image method, and for backdrop case we can pass the backdrop URL. Okay, let's try to build. Okay, there are two build errors. So let's just try to clean the project and try to build again. Okay, now the build succeeded. You can clean the project by pressing Command Shift K at the same time. Okay, or you can go here and select product from the menu bar and then just select clean build folder. Okay, let's continue on this view. Let's just, you can click resume here. Okay, now we have the previews running. Let's zoom out a bit here. Now let's create a private var here with the name of image view and type of opaque view. Here we just need to declare HStack. Let's add a corner radius of 8 and shadow with a radius of 4. And inside the HStack, let's declare a background using color.gray, and let's set the opacity modifier to make it a bit of more lighter gray. So this is the background, the first index, the first view in the HStack. Now let's just use this if case is poster, and let's grab the show title associated value. If the thumbnail type is poster and the show title associated value is true, we're going to declare the text on top of the background passing movie.title. And let's add additional modifier, multi-line text alignment to center, and set the padding to horizontal, and let's add a line limit of 4. Okay, now continuing on, we need to check whether the image has been downloaded from the image loader. So we can use image loader.image. This is a published property. Image loader is an observable object, and then here we're going to declare an image passing the UI image, and let's add several modifiers: resizable, scale to fill, and layout priority passing -1. This will make the image fill its container, this HStack. Okay, we have successfully created the image view. Now let's continue and declare another private var, but this time let's use this view builder as there will be branching here. So private var container view, the type of opaque view. Here we need to check the case for the thumbnail type. If the case is backdrop, let's declare a HStack. Let's pass an alignment of leading and spacing of 8, and let's pass the image view, and then below the image view let's declare text passing movie.title, set the font as headline, and set the line limit as 1. So that's in case of backdrop landscape image. And then in the else block, let's just declare this image view. Okay, this is in case of the poster aspect ratio portrait. Now in the body, we need to declare this container view. Now let's try to resume the live preview and see the results. Okay, here we can see this is portrait and this is landscape. And because this is, we need to download the image from internet, we need to enable the interactivity of the SwiftUI preview by clicking this. Okay, it successfully fetches the image. Okay, let's zoom in a bit. Okay, that's looks good. Let's look at the other one, this one, the backdrop one. Let's resume this. Nice, looks good. Okay, let's stop this. Okay, we have created the movie thumbnail view. Now let's go to the movie poster carousel view, and let's rename this. Let's rename this as, let's right click and show the context menu here and click on Refactor, rename. Let's rename this as movie thumbnail carousel view. Okay, click rename. Now we can delete the movie backdrop carousel view. Move the trash. Okay, now we have single movie thumbnail view for both the poster and backdrop thumbnail type. So here let's declare a var thumbnail type. The type will be movie thumbnail type, and let's assign a default value of poster that shows the title. Now we need to go to this movie thumbnail view inside the for each, and let's pass the thumbnail type from here. Thumbnail type. Okay, now let's go to the movie list view, and as you can see here, there are still declaration for the movie backdrop carousel view, so we need to change this. So first, let's just add the thumbnail type here. For the first one, the thumbnail type is poster, and for the second one, let's just copy this, the name, change this, and let's add the thumbnail type and pass backdrop. Okay, this one also, thumbnail type, backdrop, and this one, thumbnail type, backdrop. Later on this video, we are going to refactor the entire movie list view. So basically, we will use the group async task and just use a single movie step. So we don't need to declare each of these separately. Okay, but now let's just try to build. Okay, the build succeeded. Now we can focus on the movie thumbnail carousel view. Okay, first let's just update the previews in here. First, let's declare a static class, store the stop movies, movie.stop movies array, and let's replace this preview with a group. Just copy this. Okay, for the movies, let's use the static lab stop movies, and for the thumbnail type, let's pass poster with the show title or show value as true, and let's copy this, change this, let's change the title to upcoming, change the thumbnail type to backdrop. Okay, that's it for the preview. With this, we should be able to preview both of the type. Now let's create a file private extension here to set the frame depending on the thumbnail type. Let's declare a view builder at the top, and then gonna func movie thumbnail view frame, and the parameter will be thumbnail type, type of movie thumbnail type, and the return value is some view. Okay, this will act like a modifier. Here we just simply need to switch passing the thumbnail type. Just ignore the associated value. So in case of poster, let's set the self.frame with a width of 204 and height of 306. No need to set the alignment. Okay, now for the backdrop, let's set the height to 160 and add a aspect ratio modifier passing 16:9 and content mode as fit. Okay, we can enable the live preview canvas, and before we're going to preview this, let's add the modifier here, movie thumbnail view frame, and then let's pass the thumbnail type. Okay, now let's zoom out. Okay, this is the first one with the poster thumbnail type. Let's resume the live preview. So it fetches the image. Okay. Looks like something is wrong here. Why this is getting a bit of transparent? Let's try to find the issues. But before that, let's try to run using simulator. Maybe this is live preview issues. Oh, it looks good on simulator. Nice. It works. This is the movie thumbnail view using the poster thumbnail type, and those three are using the backdrop type. Okay, it works. So this should be a simulator issue. This should be a live preview issue. Let's try again. Yeah, I think this is a live preview issue because it works perfectly on the simulator. Okay, that's it for the refactoring of this movie carousel views. So now we eliminate those separate views and just use a single movie thumbnail carousel view with the thumbnail type to determine whether to use the poster aspect ratio or the backdrop aspect ratio. Okay, the code is more clean now. We don't need to maintain two separate carousel views. Okay, let's move on to the next task. Now let's move on to the next task, which is to update the MovieService API that we are using to fetch the movies from TeamDB API to use the latest Swift 5.5 concurrent API using Async await. Okay, now let's navigate to the MovieService.swift, and here we are currently using this closure with the result type to perform the asynchronous operation. So let's refactor this. Okay, and I'm going to delete all the closure, completion closure, and simply declare the replace it with the async throws. Here I'm going to replace the movie response to just an array of movie, so the observable object doesn't have to invoke dot results to get the movie array from the response. And Here, let me do also for the fetch movie. This is a single movie. Let's also let async throws with the return type of movie. And this one, at async throws with the return type of array of movie. Now let's go to the movie store, and here is the implementation of the movie service. Okay, now it complains the movie store does not conform to the protocol movie service, right? Let's refactor this one by one. Okay, so starting from here, let's update the method signature. So async throws array of movie. This one async throws single movie model, and this one async throws. This should be an array of movie. Okay, and now here we don't need to call the closure passing the result type failure. We simply need to throw movie error invalid endpoint. Let's do the same here and in the search movie. Okay, now we need to refactor this load URL and decode private method. This is a private method to download the data from a URL and then decode it using this generic constraint decodable. So we also need to update this to use the async function. Okay, so let's make it async throws with return type of decodable, this D. Let's just throw movie error invalid endpoint here. This one also. Okay, now we need to use the new API provided by the URL session. There's a new async await API to download the data. So basically the API returns a tuple data and the response itself, and is a async throwing function. Okay, so we need to use try await URL session data. Let's see. Okay, this one data from delegate. This is an async throwing function. Let's pass the final URL. We don't need to delegate, right? We just need to download the data. There's no authentication in our use case now, because the authentication will be using the API key from the URL parameter. And then, so also make sure to provide your own API key here before you can download the data from TMDB. Now we need to remove this. We don't need this execute compilation handler in main thread, because later we are going to use MainActor for our observable object. So we don't need to switch to the main thread manually using this patchq.main.async. Okay, let's see here. We don't need this error because it will throw anyway, and we do need this HTTP response logic in our use case, but here we need to just throw movie error dot invalid response. And let's see, we don't need the data, as the data will always be there if it is not throwing. And now let's cut this, and we can finally get rid of all of this. Here we can simply return and then invoke try solve JSON decoder.decode to decode this decodable type. Okay, now we can refactor this three methods. Move the completion. For the fetch movies, we need to use this movie response with the type of movie response, as the URL will return the movie response type here. It's simply a JSON with a results field containing the array of movie. Okay, now we need to use try wait to invoke load URL in the code, and we need to access the movies array from movie response.results. And for this fetch movie, this URL we will just return the single movie JSON. So here we can just return try wait. And for this one, let's also put this in movie response, because this returns a movie response JSON. Try wait, and we can finally invoke movie response.results to return the array of movie. Okay, looks very clean now using the async await API. Let's try to build. Okay, there are no errors inside this file, but if we can see here in the navigator, there will be a lot of error in the observable object, the movie detail state, movie search state, movie list state. Because we have changed the API, we also need to update the call side to use this async await. So let's do it now. Let's begin from the movie search state. Okay, this is the movie search state used for the search tab. So here we simply use the combine operator to subscribe to the query here, this query string. This will be updated when the user type on the search bar. Okay, and then we throttle it for 1 second and then invoke this search query. Now it gives an error because we have updated the API in here to use async await. So first let's make this async. And then let's change this to the bounds instead of throttle. I think the bounds is more correct instead of using throttle. And we don't need this lattice. And let's enter this. Let's grab the query. So here this sync is running in a synchronous context, and we cannot call the async call in a sync context. It will give this async call in a function that does not support concurrency. So we need to switch to the asynchronous context. We can use this task initializer plus the closure. This closure will run on async context. So we can simply invoke await. Before that, let's just use guard let self.self here to unwrap this weak self. We can simply invoke await self.search passing the query. Okay, it doesn't give an error now. Now let's update this search query method. So here we need to use this do try catch. So in the do block, we just need to invoke let movies try await movie service dot search movie, passing the query. And let's also check whether the query is equal to the self.query after this call has been completed. Okay, and let's set the is loading to false. Set the movies to these movies. In case of error, we can simply set also the loading to false and set the error to this error. Let's cast this as ns error. Okay, now let's see. For banning the connection requires initialize. Okay, so we don't need to use this lab. We can just simply compare, right? Okay. Okay, we have successfully fixed the build time errors in the movie search state. Let's go to this movie search view, and here we also need to call this in a async context. So to do that, let's just wrap in task and invoke await solve the movie search. Okay, but before that, make sure to update this movie search state to use the MainActor. So when we use this MainActor, we don't have to switch to the main queue, right? When we update all of these properties, it will be automatically handled by the concurrency API introduced in C 5.5. So we can avoid any issue of updating the UI in main thread, because as you know, all of these properties will be used to drive the UI. So we need to update this UI inside the main thread. Okay, I think that's it for the movie search state. Let's move on to the movie details state now. Let's also declare this MainActor at top. And then here we need to make this async. And let's do the same, do catch. Let's cause error as error. Self is loading is false. Self is loading is true, is false also. And I think this is incorrect. This should is loading is true. And here we need to get the movie. Try await self.MovieService fetch movie, passing the ID. And we can simply assign the movie here. Okay, let's clear this. Okay, let's fix this issue in the movie detail view. Let's switch to the async context using the task modifier and prefix the call with await. Here also inside the on appear. Okay, now let's move on to the movie list state, the last one. Let's add this async and then do catch self is loading is false, self error as ns error, and then in do block, let's grab the movies, put it in a constant, and try wait movie service fetch movies from endpoint. So let's also set this loading to false and set the movies publish property with the downloaded movies. And let's delete all of this compilation handler. Okay, now we need to fix all the error inside the movie list view. Okay, now let's deploy task. Wait. This is getting a bit of repeating, so this we need to refactor this for sure. And then here also, wait, wait, wait. For now, let's just make the build succeeded. Let's refactor it one by one. Okay, the build succeeded. Make sure to add this MainActor here. It's like I forgot. Make sure also in movie detail state. Okay. Okay, I think we have successfully refactored the movie service to use async await, and then make the project build succeeded without any errors. Just to make sure, I will again. Okay, the build succeeded. Okay, for the next task, let's move on refactoring all the states, the observable objects. So currently, each of the observable object has three properties, three published properties that determine the state of the UI. One where for the data, and a boolean indicating whether it's loading or not, and a error property. It is very hard to track these three properties inside the UI. So let's refactor this, and by just making this a single property with different states, we can do that using an enum. Okay, so let's create a model to represent that state. Inside the models folder, create a new Swift file, give it a name of data fetch face. Here we can simply declare an enum data fetch face, and for the model it will be generic, so we can insert any type. And the first case, this is empty, so in this case we can show a loading indicator. It should be an initial state, and then success, and we need the associated value with the type of v, and failure with the associated value of error. Now let's also create a computed property value with the type of optional fee. Here we can just use if case dot success, grab the value is self, then return the associated value. In case it is not the success case, we can just return nil. Okay, let's try to build. Okay, the build succeeded. Before we implement this data fetch fast to our observable objects, we'll create a overlay views that contain three views: retry view, placeholder view, empty placeholder view, and data fetch fast overlay view. So it basically will display UI depending on this state. So here inside the views folder, let's create a new folder, give it a name of overlay views. First, let's declare create a new SwiftUI view, give it a name of retry view. For this retry view, let's declare a constant text with the type of string, as well retry action constant. This is a closure with the void parameter and void return type. And then inside the body, let's declare a HStack with spacing of 8. Here we can simply pass the text to the text view, set the font as color, and then set the multi-line text alignment as center. Then below the text, let's declare the button with the action. Here we can pass this attraction constant. And then for the view provider, let's just pass a try again text. And in the preview, you can just pass an error occurred, and for the direction, you can print retry tab. Okay, this is our retry view. Let's just move on to the second one, which is the empty placeholder view. For the empty placeholder view, let's declare a text as well as optional image to display. And then inside the body, let's declare a HStack, passing spacing of 8. And then let's add a spacer here in between and check whether the image exists. If yes, let's render the image and add the image scale as large and set the font system size of 52. So this is actually better suited if we pass a fs symbol image instead of image from assets. Okay, and then let's just pass a declare a text below the image, pass the text constant. So here in the preview, let's just pass no movies, and for the image, let's pass image system name film. I think let's see the preview here. Click on resume. Okay, it looks good. Let's close the preview and move on to the third view. For the third view, let's declare a SwiftUI view. Give a name of data fetch face overlay view. Before we implement this data fetch face overlay view, let's declare a protocol empty data, because we are going to use a generic constraint on a data fetch of face overlay view. So the requirement is to have a property with type of boolean, name is empty, and with a get requirement. And for the data fetch face overlay view, let's declare constraint p empty data. So it must conform to this empty data. And in the body, before the body, we need to declare a constant. So this view accept the data fetch face, the generic data fetch face. Let's use this v constraint here, and then it also have the retry action closure for the retry button. So here in the body, we need to use switch face. In case of empty, here, this is the initial state of the UI. We simply declare a progress view. This is like a activity indicator. And then in case of success, we grab the associated value, and then we need to invoke value is empty, because remember we already provide a protocol constraint here, generic protocol constraint, so we can use this as empty. So in case of this success but the value is empty, we simply show a empty placeholder view and pass text as no data. And for the image, let's pass a SF symbol image filling. And moving on, in case of failure, let's grab the error and let's provide a declare a retry view. And for the text, we can simply invoke arrow.localize description, and for the direction we can pass this retry action constant. Okay, and while we're on this source file, let's also declare a extension for array. So any array conform to this empty data protocol. We don't need to implement anything as array already provided is empty property. And then let's also declare a extension and optional. Optional is an enum, and let's make it conform to empty data. So here we need to implement this is empty. So in case it is none, select is none, we return true. In case it is not, return false. Okay, so basically we can pass any model, any optional model to this data fetch overlay view generic constraint. Okay, there's a one case that we need to handle. Default one we just pass an empty view. Okay, and for the previews, let's pass success, and let's pass an empty array here, and just print a try. Actually we can group this and show each of the state of the phase. So this is the success case, but in case of empty data. And let's do for the two other one. Success, this is success, and empty, and let's also pass failure, passing movie error, invalid response. Okay, now let's try to, is there any error? Generic parameter fee could be okay. Let's just pass movie here, array of movie, and here we can just pass a movie optional. Okay, let's try to show the live preview. Click on resume. Okay, there are three previews here. First one is success with empty array. It shows this empty placeholder view. And second one is the empty phase, initial phase. This is showing the progress indicator, the loading indicator. And the last one, in case of error, failure, we show this text and a try again button. So here, let me enable the interactivity. Click here. So basically, here it will print this retry. I don't know. I think SwiftUI Live Preview doesn't support logging the console debug. Okay, let's stop this. Okay, that's basically it for the all the views that we are going to use for showing an overlay view. Now let's move on to refactor all the observable objects to use this data fetch phase. So the first observable object that will refactor is the movie list state. But actually I want to refactor the movie list screen also. So as you can see currently here we have this four observed object, each for now playing, upcoming, top rated, and popular, and each of these using the movie list state observable object. So basically here I want to refactor this view to use a single state name movie home state, and then inside that movie home state we are going to use the Swift 5.5 task group API to make a parallel call to fetch the movies, each for this now playing, upcoming, top rated, popular, and point. So let's try to do that. So by doing that we can also simplify this UI. This is a bit mess, right? Because each of the section has its own state here. for showing the loading error state. So let's do it. Okay, let's begin by creating a modular representation for each of these section. So basically here we have endpoint as well as array of movie. So let's create a model for this. Let's go to the models folder and create a new Swift file. Give it a name of movie section. Here declare a struct name movie section that conforms to the identifiable protocol. So we can use in the SwiftUI for each and list. For the properties, let's declare a constant first, movies. This is an array of movie that will be shown inside a carousel. Next we have the endpoint, movie list endpoint. This is an enum. So it has four cases: now playing, upcoming, top rated, and popular. We use this to determine whether to when on which API that we should fetch the movies. And let's create a computer property name title with type of string. Here we can simply display the endpoint.description. Next, let's declare a thumbnail type, the type of movie thumbnail type. This is a computer property. Here we can simply invoke endpoint. Okay, but before that, let's create an extension here. For the movie list endpoint, let's make it file private. And let's declare a thumbnail type computer property with the type of movie thumbnail type. And let's switch on the self. So in case of no playing, I'm going to return poster. And for the other, I'm just going to return backdrop as the thumbnail type. Okay, now I can just invoke endpoint.thumbnail type here inside the movie section. And to make it conform to the identifiable, we need to declare a ID property. And for the ID, let's just assign it with a unique UID. Let's try to build. Okay, the build succeeded. Now let's make a stop for this to help us in the SwiftUI live preview. Let's go to the movie plus stop.swift file, and here we can simply declare extension movie section and create a static var stops that return an array of movie section. Let's grab the stop movies here, movie.stop movies array, and here let's just return movie list endpoint. Let's get all the array here using the all cases that will return an array of unique cases inside the movie list endpoint. And let's map this, and in the closure we can simply initialize movie section passing stop movies, but in this case let's just shuffle it, the array, and for the endpoint we can pass it this $0. Okay, there's it for the movie section stops. Now let's move on to create the movie homestead observable object. Okay, so inside this bindings folder, create a new Swift file, give it a name of movie homestead. And inside, let's declare MainActor and declare a class, give it a name of movie homestead that conform to this observable object. And let's create a publish property. Let's make this private set and give it a name of face with the type of data fetch face and array of movie section, and the initial value is empty. Next, let's create a private lab movie service. The default value is movie store.shared, and let's also declare a helper to get all the array of movie section here. We can simply invoke face.value. In case it is nil, we can provide a empty array as the default fallback. And now let's create the private helper methods to help us to fetch the endpoint, a single endpoint. Let's declare a private func fetch movies from endpoint. Okay, so basically here we want to pass the movie list endpoint, make this async. We don't want this to be throwing, and basically we're going to wrap this using the result type movie section. Okay, so let me give you a reason why I don't want the fetch movies from endpoint to have a async throwing. So basically, as we are going to fetch 4 endpoints parallelly, only if all the API calls fail, only in that case I will throw an error. But if only one of them fails, I won't. Only if all of the API fails. So that way we can still show an UI, a single carousel, maybe single, 2 or 3, because we have 4 endpoints. Okay, you will see the bigger picture later when we implement the with throwing task group method. Here I can just simply use do catch. In case of error, I can just simply return the failure result, passing the error. And then in here on the do block, declare a constant name response, and then you invoke try wait movie service fetch movies from endpoint. This is a async throwing. Okay, and then if this completed, I can invoke success, and I can initialize the movie section, passing the response. I think here it will be movies. We don't need to call results anymore. You can simply pass movies, and for the endpoint, you can pass the endpoint from the parameter in here. Okay, that's it for the fetch movies from endpoint. Now we need to use the GroupTask API to fetch the movies parallelly using the structured concurrency API. So let's declare a private func fetch movies from endpoints. The parameter is endpoints. This is an array of movie list endpoint with the default value of movie list endpoint all cases. Okay, so inside the implementation, so let's declare a constant name results with the explicit type of array of result movie section error. Here we can simply invoke await, and we can use this with task group. And for the child task result the type, we need to pass result movie section error dot self. Let's clean this a bit. Okay, here it will pass a single parameter. let's name it group. Now let's just loop the endpoints, and then inside the for loop, let's spawn a child task to fetch the movies from the endpoint. We can use group dot add task. So here this will be run in async context. We can simply invoke await self fetch movies from endpoint and pass this endpoint. Okay, now continuing on, let's declare a results var here with the type of array of result movie section error. We're going to collect the results in here in this array. So let's initialize it with empty array. And looks like there's an error here. Okay, so I forgot to declare this as async throws. Okay, and now let's use the async sequence API to gather the parallel calls here. We can simply use for await result in group and then append it to the results var. So the fetching of the endpoints will be done in parallel, so the results will be randomized and we need to sort it correctly, right? We want the no playing to be on top of the list. So let's create a file private extension in here that will help us to sort the endpoint. And let's declare complete property sort index and then switch self for no playings will be at the top, and then coming and game, and then top rated, and then popular. Okay, now we can simply return the results in here, and let's continue. After this await call, let's declare another array, give the name of movie sections. Type will be movie section array, and let's also declare a errors property that contains a which is an array of error. And for these results, let's just use for each to loop each of the element. Here let's just use switch on the result. Okay, in case of success, let's get the movie section and then append it to the movie sections array. And in case of failure, let's grab the error and append it to the errors array. Okay, now here we need to check if errors.count is equal with the results.count. So this means all of the calls give us an error, right? In this case, let's grab the first error. Okay, and then just throw the error. So here this will only be invoked in case all of the fetching fails for all the endpoints. Then if only one succeeded, only one, more than one, then we can just invoke movie sections and then sort it $0 that endpoint dot sort index is less than $1 dot endpoint dot sort index. Okay, it gives an error here, unexpected what. Okay, we forgot to set the return type. Should be an array of movie section. Okay, let's try again. Okay, the build succeeded. Now we can declare the public method load movies from all endpoints. Let's also pass additional parameter invalidate cache with type of boolean. Make this async. You will see later on why we are going to pass this invalid cache. So basically we are using task modifier and the task itself can be cancelled when the view disappears. First, let's just check if the task is cancelled. We return. And then first we check if the cache is success for the face property, and invalid cache is false. We just return. So we won't load in case the invalid cache is false, and we already have the success cache for the face. And let's set the face to empty, continue on. This will be showing the progress view. And then let's declare a do try catch here. Let's begin from the catch block. The task is cancelled. Let's just return. Otherwise, we set the face as failure error. And in the do block, we need to declare a sections constant and then invoke try await fetch movies from endpoints. This method. Okay. And then the task is cancelled. After the invocation, we just return. And if not, we just set the face as success, passing the sections. Okay, the build succeeded. This is the implementation for our movie homestead. Now we can navigate to the movie list view and refactor all of this. Okay, first let's just delete all of this and then declare a state object. This observable object life cycle is tied to this movie list view. Give it a name of, let's make this private, and give it a name of movie homestead, and just initialize the movie homestead observable object. And then we can delete all of this. We don't need it. Okay, here in the list, let's declare a for each. We can simply pass movie homestead dot sections, and here inside the for each, let's declare movie thumbnail carousel view. Let's begin from the title. For title, it will be the movie section dot title, and for the movies, it will be movie section dot movies, and for the thumbnail type, it will be the movie section dot thumbnail type. Okay. Now let's add the list row insets for each of the row. Let's initialize this inset with the top of 8 and leading of 0, bottom of 8, and trailing of 0. Let's also hide the list row separator using hidden. Okay. Now, wow, this looks very clean compared to the previous implementation. Now let's replace this on appear with task modifier. This is new in SwiftUI 3. So basically the task will get invoked when the view appears, and it will be cancelled automatically when the view disappears. Okay, so before we implement the task, let's declare a private func load movies, and we can also add a parameter invalid cache bool. So we need to make this method ascendable because we are going to pass this in this task, and this task itself will be running in the asynchronous context. So here in the task we can simply invoke load movies. In the case of this task, we won't be invalidating the cache. So basically when the view appears, we're going to check if the current phase is success. We won't be fetching the API again. As simple as that. And let's also add pull to refresh using this refreshable. In the case of pull to refresh, we need to invalidate the cache. So basically we want to fetch new data from the server. So let's pass through the refreshable closure. And now to manage the UI state when it is loading, when it is empty or failure, let's add this overlay modifier. And in the overlay, let's declare a data fetch overlay view. For the face, let's pass movie home state dot face. And for the retry action, let's pass a closure load movies. In this case, for the try, we are also going to invalidate the cache. Okay, let's clean up this a bit, make this one line, and make sure in here in this load movies we're going to switch to the async context and then invoke await movie home state load movies from all endpoints and pass the invalidate cache parameter. Okay, looks very clean now. Now, for this movie list view, I don't want to embed this in navigation view. So I will give that responsibility to the container view. So let's move this out, this navigation view. Okay. And then let's move this list tile below the overlay modifier. And then in the preview itself, I'm going to embed this navigation view, movie list view. Okay, and let's also rename this. Let's rename this to movie home view. Okay, and let's go to the content view where the tab view is declared. So here let's also refactor this. We don't need to use this VStack anymore. First, let's embed this home view in a navigation view. Okay, let's make this one liner. And let's declare tab item. So we can simply use this label view. I think this was introduced on iOS 14, if I'm not wrong. Let's pass the title, home, and for the system image, let's pass film. This is a SF symbol image, and that is 0. Let's do the same for this movie search view. Let's also pass this tab item, and the label is search, and the system image is magnifying glass. Let's also embed this in a navigation view. But remember to update this movie search view here. Let's also remove the navigation view. Okay, let's add the navigation view in the previews. Okay, I think we have successfully refactored the movie list view to this movie home view, and then use the GroupTask API to fetch all the endpoints in parallel. Now let's try and see whether this is working or not. Okay, nice. The homestead fetches all the endpoints in parallel. Nice. We have successfully refactored this movie homestead. This looks good compared to the previous code base. So now let's just move on to refactor the movie detail view. Okay, now before we go to the view, let's just refactor the movie detail state to use the data fetch phase as well. So declare publish private set and replace this with phase, and declare for the type it will be data fetch phase, the type of movie, and initial value of empty, and let's declare a computed property movie with the type of, it should be public internal, I mean the type is movie. Here we can just simply use face.value. Okay, now inside the load movie we need to refactor all of this. So first we just check if the task is cancelled. If yes, we simply return. Then let's set the face to empty. Trigger showing the progress view. And in the do catch block here, we can simply set the face as success, passing the movie. And in the catch block, we can simply pass failure, passing the error. Okay, it is much cleaner now, this movie detail state. Now we need to refactor the movie detail view. This is a bit of mess currently. Let's clean this up a bit, make it more modular. Okay, so let's begin refactoring from this movie detail image. This is the view that used to show the backdrop image in landscape. So first we need to replace this observe object with state object as this movie detail image view on this life cycle of this image loader. And then let's see the implementation. Actually we don't need this rectangle, can simply declare color.gray.opacity. Okay, I think this can also simply improve the syntax here using this new if let image is equal to image loader then image. So here we don't need to force unwrap this. I think this if let was introduced back then on iOS 14. Previously it is not possible. So here let's just pass the image without force unwrapping. And here also let's make this one liner. We don't need to use self. Okay. Okay, this looks more clean. I think that's it for the movie detail image. Now let's move on to this movie detail list view. This is a bit of mess right now. I think it's very hard to understand and reason. Let's just compose this into separate views, more modular views, so that it can be easier to understand. I think the first one is, let's abstract this out to a separate view, this section. Okay, so scroll down, and here we simply need to create a private var movie description section with the type of some view, and let's declare a VStack. Set the alignment as leading and spacing as 16. Then let's copy the code, I think here, starting from here. Okay, I think we can also simplify this HStack to only use a single text. So let's declare a private var movie genre duration text with the type of string, and then let's just use string interpolation here, movie dot genre text, and copy this dot. Then movie dot year text, then movie dot duration text. I don't think we need this second dot. Okay, and we can replace this with single text, movie genre year duration text. Okay, looks a bit cleaner, and let's set the font as headline here, and this is okay, this movie dot overview, and we have the HStack. I think this is okay. Now let's just add additional padding article, and let's go back here. Here let's just remove this divider and declare the movie description section. Let's also add a list row separator here, passing visible. Next one is this sections here, this HStack, all of this. Let's also create a private var for that sections. Here let's just use private var movie cast section with the tab of opaque view, and I think we need to drag this entire HStack. Okay, paste this, and let's clean it a bit. Here let's just use if let cast movie.cast, and here, and can just use this not cast is empty. And let's clean this for each and simply pass cast prefix 9. Okay, And in the view profile, just correct text, passing $0 okay, looks a bit more cleaner. Let's do the same for this crew. If let crew equal to movie.crew, not crew is empty, and directors, not directors is empty. Okay, and let's just copy this very similar structure, but in this case let's pass directors. Okay, let's do the same for producers. Movie.producers, not producers is empty, and here we can simply pass. Sorry, I think we need to be careful with the number in here. Let's check. Okay, this is 2, this is 2. Okay, so here I need to pass 2 for directors. For cast, for producers here I need to also pass 2. You want to only show maximum of 2 directors and producers and screenwriters. Okay, let screenwriters movie.screenwriters, not screenwriters is empty. Okay, it should be screenwriters. Okay, it's a bit of more clean now. We have moved this to a separate property. So let's declare this movie cast section, and for this let's make this row separator as hidden. Now for the final one, I think this trailer, let's also create a separate section, private var movie trailer section of some view. Okay, let's just use the cut and paste that previous code here, and here let's use trailers, movie.youtube trailers, not trailers is empty, and in the for each we can pass trailers, and it shows an error here because we have this conditional statement at the top, so we need to use vbuilder in this case. Okay, let's try to build. Okay, let's move on here and then declare the movie trailer section. Okay, and then we don't need to add a list row separator modifier. Okay, this is looking great now. Let's try to improve it more. For this list, I want to move this out to the parent view. So let me copy this and then just remove this list. Okay, flatten it. I'm also going to remove this sheet presentation to the container view. Okay, so this looks a bit more cleaner now. We don't need this image loader and this selector trailer itself will be a binding now. Now let's move on to the movie detail view. This is the container view. So now I'm just going to paste this list here. I'm going to check inside the list if movie.state.movie that exists. It has been fetched. I'm going to pass this, and then I don't want to pass the image loader because here in the movie detail image I want this image loader to be owned by the movie detail image itself. So let me make this private and then initialize this image loader. Okay, and then resolve here. And for the movie detail image, let's add our list rows operator with visibility of hidden. And then here, let me just remove this HStack. Let's change this binding. Instead, we just pass the URL instead of movie video optional. Okay, it should be an optional URL. And here we need to fix this. Here, let's just use guard-let URL. The YouTube trailer is optional, so let's just use guard-let here, and we can simply assign select the trailer URL with the URL. Okay, that is the movie detail list view. So we need to inject the movie and this binding. Now let's declare this below the movie detail image inside the list in case the movie exists. Okay, movie, we can simply pass the movie, and this should not be private. And selected trailer URL, we need to declare a state in here. State private var selected trailer URL, type of optional URL. So we can simply pass this down to the child, and make sure to change this to state object, as this observable object life cycle will be on by this movie detail view. So I actually want to also pass the movie title, so we don't need to depend on the API completion before we render the navigation bar title. Okay, string. Here I need to also update this navigation bar title to use navigation title. So we don't need to wait for this movie detail movie to be fetched. We can simply pass this movie title. And let's also fix the list style here, adding the list style modifier plain. We want it to be plain. The default style is inside group. And let's create a sendable private method here to load the movie. Let's switch to the async contacts and invoke self.movie detail state.load movie, passing movie ID. Okay, I think we need to include self in here, and then let's add the task modifier passing load movie. Okay, let's try to build now. Okay, there's one error. Let's see what it is. Okay, now we need to pass the movie title, the preview. Let me just pass my favorite movie, The Godfather 2. try again. I think it will begin given an error inside the movie thumbnail carousel view here. Here we also need to pass the movie title. You can retrieve using movie.title. Also in the movie search view, movie title, movie.title. Okay, let's try to build. Okay, the build succeeded. Let's go back to the movie detail view, and here we need to add the overlay for the loading state. Just declare data fetch fast overlay view. For the face, we can simply pass movie detail state dot face, and for the try action, let's pass load movie method. Okay, that's the overlay. Okay, it gives an error here. Interesting. I think we need to change here. I think we need to change this to optional. Okay, as we already implemented the optional here with the empty data. Okay, and then in this face.value, we simply can use this fallback to return nil. Okay, the build succeeded. It's a bit tricky, right? Okay, now let's remove this on appear. We don't need anymore. And then let's declare the sheet here, model sheet presentation. We can simply pass the binding selected trailer URL, and then in the view provider we can declare the Safari view, passing the URL as well as this edges, ignoring Safari passing button. Okay, it requires the URL to conform to identifiable. It's not a problem. We can just extension URL and then convert this to identifiable, and then ID, and just return self here. Let's try again. Okay, we need to mark this with public. Okay, the build succeeded. I think we have successfully refactored this, so let's try it in simulator. Okay, let's open Dune. Okay, looks great. We have this backdrop, edge-to-edge image, the title, and then we have this. This looks weird. I think we need to add this dot. Okay, and then we have this overview. Looks good. We have the rating, and then we have the cast sections here, as well as we have the trailers. Now let's try to tap on the one of the trailer. Okay, it shows the model sheet Safari view. Okay, this is the Dune final trailer. Let's try the other one. Okay, it works. But this is quite a bit of, we need more padding, I think, in this movie cast section. So let me add a vertical padding there. It's a bit of cramped in the vertical direction. Let's try Phantom. Let there be carnage. Okay, let's see. Yeah, this looks good. Nice. We have successfully refactored the movie detail view. Now let's move on to refactor the movie search screen. by beginning from the movie search state observable object. Let's also refactor this publish properties to use the data fetch phase. Okay, so let's replace this with publish private set var phase with the data fetch phase of array of movie, initial value of empty, and currently I use this subscription token cancelable. Let's just use any cancelables because I'm going to create two subscriptions for the query string. Okay, let's declare a private var cancelables, and its initial is a set any cancelable. And let's remove this subscription token, make this MovieService private, and let's declare another compute property named trimmed query with type of string. Here we can simply invoke query.trimming characters in white spaces and new lines. And let's declare a public internal property named movies with type of array of movie. To value, we can get it from fetch.value, and let's provide an empty array for the fallback. Now let's refactor this start observe and let's remove this day init. We don't need this. Let's use the any cancelables. In the start observe, I'm just going to check whether the cancelables is empty. If it is empty, we haven't subscribed to anything. It is already not empty, then we don't want to resubscribe. Okay, so first I'm going to use this query with a dollar prefix to access this publisher, and then use filter, and here I'm going to trim this. I'm going to check where this is empty. So in case of empty, I want to subscribe. I don't need the value pass in here, and then here I simply want to set the face as empty. So reset this, and let's store this in the cancelables. Okay, and let's just delete this current implementation. For the second subscription, I want to subscribe the query, and same, I'm going to filter this and add the bounds operator for 1 second. For the scheduler, it will be on the main queue, so I can simply pass dispatch queue.main, and finally I can sync subscribe it. Let me grab the new value in here and then store that in the cancelables. So actually you need to be careful here. So if you use the value from this query, right, this will be triggered before the wheel set, so it will be the old value. You need to use this new value to make a search. Shift publish this new value in the wheel set. Okay, now we also need to, okay, so inside the sync we just need to trigger a task to switch to async context, and then a weak self in here. Let's just let self in case it's already delocated. We can just return to avoid any memory leak. And then we can simply trigger await solve.search, passing the query of this parameter in sync. Okay, now let's just remove everything in the search. First, we need to check where the task is already cancelled. If yes, we just return and then set the face as empty. Let's store the current query in a parameter. Okay, with spaces and new lines. Here we can check if the query is empty. We can simply return. Let's do try catch. In case of error, we check if the task is cancelled. Simply return. If not, we're going to check if the trim query, this one, is equal to the current one. Might be have changed, so we need to check. In that case, we just return. We don't want to continue this, and then let's set the face to failure, passing the error here. Let's copy here and put it here, and then here let's get the movies. Try await MovieService dot search movie. Let's pass the trim query here, and finally we can just assign the face with success and the movies. I think this is it for the MovieService refactoring. I think we also fixed this sync query bug with this. Okay, now we need to move on to the movie search view to do a bit of UI refactoring in here. Okay, so the first one, we need to change this to state object, and then let's just remove all of this, and then we can simply use for each passing movie search stat.movies. In the view provider, let's name the parameter as movie, then the current navigation link. For the destination, it will be movie detail view. You can pass movie.id, movie.title, and so previously we only show the movie title and the movie release year inside each row inside in the search results list. So let's refactor this a bit, and then we show the poster and the rating as well. So let's create a movie row view with the parameter of movie that return some movie. I think we just let's make it as a view instead of a ref func. Movie row view. Sorry, this should be a SwiftUI view, and then we have a constant movie here, and let's implement the body. So basically in the body we just need to declare an HStack. Let's set the alignment to top and spacing to 16. The HStack, let's declare a movie thumbnail view to show the poster image. Let's pass the movie and thumbnail type. Let's pass the poster. So in this condition, we don't want to pass the title, the text that will be overlaid on top of the image when it is being loaded. So we pass this show title as false, and let's set the frame to like a portrait aspect ratio, in this case 60 for width and 92 for the height. And let's declare the HStack beside the poster. Let's set the alignment as leading, and let's declare text passing movie.title and font as headline. For the second one, movie.the year text, and let's pass font as headline. Let's declare a spacer here, and at the top let's simply show the rating text star and set the foreground color for the star to yellow. Okay, this is we polish our UI here to make it a bit more interesting. So let's declare the movie row view passing the movie. Okay, let's try to build. Okay, the build succeeded. It's also at a vertical padding of 8. And okay, we don't need to change anything on the on appear here, but let's just make this one liner. And let's change this navigation bar title to navigation title. And let's use the new SwiftUI 3 searchable modifier. Here we can simply pass the binding for the query from the movie search state. And in the prompt, let's pass a string search movies. And for the overlay, we're going to do it a bit differently in here. So let's declare a private var overlay view, the type of sound view. Let's make this view builder, and then switch on the movie search state.face. In case of empty, here I want to check if the movie search state.trim query is empty. I want to show a empty placeholder view. So when the search bar is empty, search your favorite movie. And for the image, let's pass a SF symbol, system image. In this case, I want to show a magnifying glass. Okay, so this is when the search bar is empty in the else block. When it's not empty, I want to show a loading progress indicator. Okay, for the second case, success case, let's grab the values. So here the value is empty. I'm going to show empty placeholder view, no results. And for the image, let me pass image system name, passing film. And for the failure case, let's grab the error and declare the retry view, pass the text here, error.localize description. And for the retry action, we need to switch to the async context using the task, and we need to invoke await movie search state dot search, passing the movie search state dot query. Okay, I think, oh, there's another default case which is just we show an empty view. Let's try to build trim queries inaccessible. Okay, let's make this property internal, moving this private. Okay, Now let's pass this overlay view property. And at last, let's set the list style as plain list style. Okay, this is it for the movie search view refactoring. Now let's try and see the results. Okay, now let's search for a movie. Tap on this search. Nice. It shows the empty placeholder view when the search bar feels empty. Let's search for movie. The Godfather. It doesn't work. I think there's a bug in the movie search state. This looks correct, I think. This is the bug. So actually in this second subscribe here, we need to check, we need to filter. If it is not empty, only then we're going to proceed with the sync. Okay, I think this should fix the issue. Previously it was filtering all the search query for empty, so I think this will always get executed. Okay, let's try again. Let's search for the Godfather. Nice. These are the results of Godfather movies. The Godfather with Marlon Brando, The Godfather Part 2, Al Pacino, and then The Godfather Part 3. Nice. This looks great. Let's try another one. Avengers. Okay, The Avengers 2012, Endgame 2019, Infinity War 2018. Amazing. Let's try Spider-Man. Okay. Congratulations! We have successfully updated the app to the latest SwiftUI 3 iOS 15 SDK and Swift 5.5. The app now uses the latest APIs, more efficient and performant. We have also fixed many bugs and refactored the codebase along the way. SwiftUI is now in its third year. There are so many things that can be improved on the next version by Apple. I believe the next version will be a major milestone that makes big companies shift from UIKit to SwiftUI as they drop iOS 12 support. All of the phases that support iOS 13 can also be updated to iOS 15, so there won't be any major issue with user adoption. The future of SwiftUI looks pretty great ahead, and I cannot wait to see what's next for SwiftUI next year. Until then, let's keep on being a lifelong learner, stay safe, and stay healthy. Please like and subscribe the videos if you want to receive updates when new content arrives. See you on the next one. Bye!